We're still muted. Unmute yourself.
Right, I don't know what's gone. So for me, all I can see right now is the intro still. It's just bugging out like crazy. But it's boxing this week, 48. Production is normally better. I think my internet has just died.
No, you're still here. I can see you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Okay, maybe I don't know. But either way, we're back. We've got quite a lot to talk about, but we also, what I want to point out is, first of all, massive thank you, because we did 2 live streams last week, for the one for Cacace-Wood and one for Navarrete Suarez. And the Cacace-Wood did actually really well. We got about 500 views on that, quite a bit of engagement as well. And Navarrete Suarez, we got about 10,000 views and a lot of engagement for that as well. So had a huge week. And we're following up this week again with both of us doing the Johnny Fisher, David Allen rematch. And then we're both doing, and then I'm doing the Hiruta versus Marino with the return of Boashuk.
Yeah, I might join you the night.
So so once again, we're hitting with the 2 live streams, the live commentary, watch-alongs, all the rest of it. There's a lot more coming.
11,000 views over the weekend. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, it's huge, massive. So we appreciate it. Now, for this week, we got quite a lot to talk about. One of the main things we're going to talk about is Manny Pacquiao. However, just to start up, we'll do a little weekly roundup of what's gone on. So obviously, Justice Hooney is fighting Fabio Wardley. I think that's a tough fight.
Mm-hmm.
Could be an upset.
It's a losable fight for Wardley, you know.
Yeah.
I think that fight, I think people aren't giving Hooney enough credit, but that fight could be tougher than Miller.
Yeah, I think so. Miller doesn't move.
Yeah.
Miller's tough. He's tough, but we saw against Daniel Dubois. Like, you can kind of get through those rounds with him.
The thing is with the Dubois fight, he come in substantially heavier, which obviously played an advantage for him because when you're like, what, 100 pounds heavier than your opponent?
Yeah.
100 and something pounds, whatever it was, that's going to play an effect. It's harder to break him down. Body shots might not work just as well. They obviously didn't.
Yeah.
And that's not even a joke. Like, they didn't because... So, in the end, he took him to the 10th round. That was probably one of Dubois' hardest fights because he took him to a place where we hadn't seen Dubois get before and we thought he was going to quit. But he's obviously pulled out the fight for an injury. Don't really know what to say about that because I'm pretty sure this is like the second time he's pulled out of a fight for similar sort of things.
He's pulled out quite a lot.
And track record. It's a shame because from a marketable point of view, he brings in a lot of attention because of the way he is.
Yeah.
So he's a great fighter for a promoter, I think, because he'll bring in views to the platforms, etc. But he's not in, and he would have been the talker out of them too. Wardley and himself he would have been the talker, right? But we're here with Hooney, obviously, Justin Hooney as well, who is a tough opponent. I think that this fight is going to be more difficult from a boxing perspective as well. Obviously, you look at some of the stuff that obviously Hooney's done already, and we'll clip it below it. Just some highlights of some of his fights. But 50-50 fight. Not sure how well it's going to do in terms of people maybe watching it because of the popularity maybe on this side of the water. Hooney obviously is big where he is, but here is not the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we know Jarrell Miller in the UK, and I think through AJ, just general shit talking, through Daniel Dubois, and even from the Fabio Wardley build up. Like we Jarrell Miller's a big name. Justice Hooney isn't, but I think he will be. I still think Fabio will beat him, just because of the experience. Like Wardley's now, he's fought Clark twice. He's fought Adelaide. He's been in there with these guys. So I can't really see. I mean, unless Hooney is pretty special, I don't see him beating Wardley. But I think it's a harder fight. I also think it's a better fight because you can get 2 heavyweights that can actually move around. But potentially a repeat of Wardley Clark. But we'll see, because we're going to find out how much of a chin Hooney has, because Wardley will land. No doubt about that. So that's kind of, in terms of what's going on. Dillian White's making his return on the undercard as well. That was confirmed this week, so that's good. Good to see. Now, let's talk about last week's fight, Cacace-Wood. And then we're going to move on to Pacquiao, because I think Pacquiao's the story we want to really get onto. But I want to talk about Anthony Cacace for a second. 36 years old. He's on a crazy run now. Cordina, Warrington, Wood.
Yeah.
He's moved up a weight division. He looks more powerful. I mean, we were watching it together. He looks pretty elite.
Smart move, because he relinquished his IBF title, obviously. Or he let it go because, obviously, as well, what we learned on the night is the money that he was offered for that fight and to what he got against Wood. You're talking, he was offered, I think it was short of maybe below a quarter of a million, obviously, to 220,000, I think, maybe, to fight for his opponent he was given before Wood. Whereas I think for the Wood fight, he was given near enough 450, 500K. So
that's what they were talking, So the Sugar Nunes fight was going to be half the money, something like that. So he was never going to take that.
No. So I think, obviously, the fight gave us everything we wanted to do. We knew what Wood was going to do. Wood was going to come in. He was going to be active. He's going to be, and with Cacace the same as well. To be honest with you, the fight could have gone either way to a certain point in terms of, because of their styles. But in the end, Cacace outboxed him a lot more than I thought he would. Maybe Wood was off the pace. We know Wood's a great fighter, but just wasn't there on, obviously, the night. Had a lot of interesting interactions, obviously, on the live stream we done on Saturday as well. And people jumping in and obviously commenting on it and having their opinions. It was good. Great. Again, like I said to you, we needed that after the howler of the weekend before. It was like almost like a high to a depression low with the American cards. The high being Eubank Conor Ben 2 weeks ago, and then you got the Garcia, and then obviously back Cacace and Wood brought us back up. Pause.
Yeah, that's a big pause as well. That's a big pause. That's a clip. Anyway, Cacace. The problem is Leigh Wood is 18 months out of the ring. How far can Cacace go? Like, obviously, he's a world champion. He's gonna. It's tough. He's now in a division with Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson.
That's big fights.
I'd love to see him versus Shakur.
The thing is, people ask what can he give? What can he get? Cacace's a great name for Shakur to go and fight, because God only knows he needs it at the moment. Cacace's a great name, as I say, for that fight. We're talking. Are you there? Yeah, still there, Connor? Yeah, yep. Cacace was. Yeah, Cacace's a great. Cacace. Yeah, Cacace's a great name for Shakur on the card. If they fight, it doesn't really matter what Cacace does. To be honest with you, because I think the age that he's at, the money that he can generate, he's made life-changing amounts for he's got his family into a position now where he can really benefit from boxing, and I think that's the most important thing. If he wins titles, great, but at 36 to get where you are with Cacace and the point that he's got to, his journey and where he's been, I think it's unreal. He needs a home show. It's got to be it's got to be Belfast for his next show. But like I said, it's got to be a big fight. I reckon he'll probably have a fight in between before he goes on to a big fight, because he'll have a homecoming. So I can imagine a Gervonta or Shakur fight is going to be on one of the cards of a Riyadh event. So I can't see that happening in Belfast.
No, I think you're right. Obviously, he's the IBO world title holder at Super Feather, but we saw Navarrete. We did a stream on the same night for Navarrete versus Suarez. Very controversial whether or not that was a headbutt or not. I don't think it was a headbutt. I think a clash of heads rather. Navarrete for me is very beatable. He's just very weird. Shaky Foster, again, another one that I think is very beatable. Rikishi, beatable. So Cacace, if it wasn't for the fact we're talking about a 36-year-old and at some point he will decline, we don't know when, but at some point it will happen. I'd say he could go in there and beat any of them. I mean, he looks massive compared to these guys.
For those that are joining and I've joined obviously the stream, apologies. I think there's some technical issues at the moment just with connection and stuff. Bear with us; it normally fixes and sorts itself out,
Yeah.
so it's all good. But yeah, no, I agree. It's Cacace. Yeah, do you know what? Whatever that fight may be, I'm excited to see where he goes from here. To be honest, and I'm not sure what's up for Wood next. Potentially retirement. And I don't mean that
Yeah, I
in
think so.
this disrespectful way, but I think he is he's an ex-world champion. It's difficult to see where he's going to go after this, and or where gets himself back up to wherever that may be that he sees fit.
Yeah, Leigh Wood's not a young fighter either. We see him in a lot of hard fights. I don't think we want to see him. I don't know. I personally, I don't want to see him too much more.
Yeah.
We've seen him in some absolute wars. I mean, he was getting battered by Josh Warrington, then he came back. He was getting battered by Conlon, then he came back. Maurizio Lara knocked him out. Okay, and Lara was on drugs, which is since Lara's now banned. But he's fought Lara twice. The first time got knocked out. Second time knocked Lara out. Like, Leigh Wood is a phenomenal fighter, a proper fan favorite. His style is really built for fans as well.
Yes.
But he's been out of the ring for 18 months. He comes back and he's been knocked out. I don't really know. It's always felt as well that he's overperformed, which is like an exceptional thing to do. And I mean that in like a really complimentary way. But it's always felt that Leigh Wood has just had that a little bit more heart. Not necessarily more skill, but more heart than his opponent. Mick Conlon is a better boxer than Leigh Wood. I know Mick Conlon should be an Olympic gold medalist. But Leigh Wood, just in that round 12, well, really from round 9, but round 12, it's just like something switches in him and he goes, no, I'm winning this.
Yeah.
And what worries me is that against Cacace, he actually hurt Cacace, and then Cacace just swung him. And Cacace went, no, I'm going to hurt you now. And then Leigh Wood could not recover. And had that towel not come in, that would have been brutal.
The thing is, you've got to look at it like this. Wood knows when to turn it on. In the past, historically, knows how to turn it on during a fight. He goes to them places that Conlon couldn't go to, in my opinion. Conlon's a great boxer, by the way, but in that fight, he just fell a little bit short when it come down to the nitty-gritty. Then you meet someone like Cacace, who's more hungry, and there's no disrespect to Wood, but this is a guy who's 35, won a world title at 35, fighting at 36 onwards, and this is now his time to really make a difference for his family. So you've got a guy who's still hungry at 35, 36 to go and do big things, be it money and belts. It's not a case discussion of who's more hungry, but I would say that Cacace is definitely driven to achieve and want to achieve more later in the latter stages of career, where Woods achieved probably everything up to this point.
Yeah, definitely. Cacace's got huge fights, and Wood, I would like to see him hang it up. If he has one last run, then I don't mind it, but then he has to be more active, and I don't love the idea of him being more active. I personally, I would like to see him retire. I have just noticed, I've just turned the stream on my phone, and I've realised how bad my connection is. I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming that everyone in the house is on their, like I don't know, the Wi-Fi's fucked or something. I don't know, but I apologise for that because I've just realised how bad it is.
We move.
It's fine. It won't be like this on Saturday because it'll be later. Let's move on. Let's talk about Manny Pacquiao. I mean, this is It's disgraceful, if we're being honest. I had a comment on Saturday night, an American fan, comparing this to Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, except they made the really good point that Mike Tyson was, all right, he was 60 and fighting Jake Paul, who's, I don't know, 30 something. But at least Mike Tyson wasn't fighting a real heavyweight. Manny Pacquiao is about to fight Mario Barrios, who I don't rate massively very high, as you know if you've watched the show. But Barrios is a world champion welterweight. Pacquiao in his last fight lost to Yordenis Ugas and got absolutely battered, like all over the ring for the rounds that it lasted. Ugas is a great fighter, but Ugas is not that level.
Yeah.
Barrios is going to hurt him. I can really see a bad situation with this.
I think we need to more ask the question: what drugs is Mauricio Suleiman, head of the WBC, smoking?
Yeah,
because
there's that as well.
We go back to the point of you're talking about at a crucial time in boxing. Are we justifying the weight divisions, right? So the problem is with this. We are looking at WBC, IBF, WBA, WBO making really stupid decisions. Yeah. We've got Saudi that's coming and they've said, Dana White, make a boxing organization, one belt, each division, or how similar model to how they run UFC. I can't see why people the decisions like this is only going to make people lean towards that method of boxing. Really stupid decisions. Pacquiao's been inactive for 5 years, or 4 or 5 years. So he hasn't been in the boxing mix for 4 or 5 years, but he comes in and he gets ranked number 1 by the WBC. What is the reasoning behind it? I'm wondering if someone can reach out to the WBC and email them. Because at this point, I need to understand what their reasoning is for it. You know what? I might even send an email after this, see if we get a response.
It's ridiculous.
No one wants to watch that. We're going to watch it because we have to. But I'll be honest with you, I'm putting that fight on the same level as, I'm going to say it, Pacquiao coming back at 46 and being being given a world title shot. I might prefer to watch Tommy Fury and KSI box again. I'm going to be real with you.
I would prefer that. At the very least, Tommy Fury, KSI is 2 shit fighters fighting each other.
Yeah. There's
some level of competition there. Neither one is that old, and neither one is fighting for a world title that they don't deserve. I think Manny Pacquiao is one of the greatest fighters ever. But does he deserve to walk into a world? And also, we're not talking about a weight division where there's not an abundance of people waiting for this. You've got, Conor Benn is there. After what he did against Eubank Jr., does he not deserve to have first pick?
This is my thing, yeah. So if we look at the 3, does Conor Benn beat the current WBC champion? Yes.
I think so.
Does Conor Benn beat Manny Pacquiao? At this stage now,
that'd be horrible to watch.
A Conor Benn now, compared to a Pacquiao now, in every realm, yeah? We're not talking about prime Pacquiao. We're not talking about an active Pacquiao. We're talking about 46-year-old Pacquiao, yeah? So let's have this right. And I know people are going to use the argument, you talk about B-Hop and Foreman winning titles late in the latter stages of their career, right? But listen, to an extent, they were active, probably more active, or they might not have come off. The argument here is that he's been given a world title shot when realistically he doesn't deserve it, hasn't earned it, and hasn't fought for it. That's my problem with it. If Pacquiao come back 1 fight, you can't knock it. Yeah, give him the title shot. But we're giving it to him off the merit of his name. So if that's the case, if that is the case, tomorrow, Eddie Hearn, or no, not Eddie Hearn, Turkey Al-Sheikh, sign Mike Tyson to fight Daniel Dubois. Because if we're just doing it off names, then Mike Tyson should get a world title shot.
Yeah, why not?
just because we're handing them
Yeah,
out.
yeah, absolutely.
Ridiculous. Yeah, this listen, it's one decision in it, like in one fight, but what a stupid decision to make. Stupid decision run by
Yeah.
old men who are outdated. I think my milk has more life. Out of date milk in the fridge has got more life than some of these guys that run the boxing organizations. Seriously,
No, that's true.
some
Yeah.
of them don't even
Ah,
can't do you know what it is? We're in an era now where some of them can't even tell me what AI is. So how are they supposed to get with the new level of boxing? The new just get new people running these things, get rid of the old men and get people in there who actually care for the fighters because more importantly, Pacquiao's putting himself at risk.
yeah. Like, and the thing is, just because you make a good point about the like Foreman and Hopkins, but the key for me is one, those two. Hopkins shouldn't have walked straight back into a world title fight. Bernard Hopkins is basically the exact same situation as what we've got with Pacquiao now.
Mm.
He should not have walked straight back into a title fight. He lost the fight beforehand in what was it like 2012 or whatever, and in 2015 he goes, that shouldn't happen either. That was on the IBF. But the WBC are just so hell bent on repeating history. Let's go through this. First of all, like Barrios is not. He's a very weak world champion. I mean, I've said it before. I keep saying it. I like the guy. He seems cool, but as they go, I think he's so vulnerable, like to being beaten. But the point really is, if you look through the rankings and you look at who's there, you've got like Jaron Ennis obviously has 2 of the belts. Then you got Devin Haney, who doesn't have a belt, but Devin Haney will be waiting. And Devin Haney was just WBC world champion at 140. He, therefore, just based on how they normally do things, should be given the opportunity to fight immediately for the WBC title. That's what they normally do. Jin Sasaki is there. Brian Norman Jr. is WBO world champion. I'm sure he'd love to unify. Lewis Crocker deserves his shot. Keep going, and you've got Alexis Roger, you've got Jose Ramirez, not anymore. Harlem Eubank, obviously he's going to fight Jack Catterall. Looks like that's pretty set in stone. There's just so many. There's so many fighters. It's a joke. And realistically, it's because I don't know Polanco and Bengi and Papo. I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
And therefore the number 6, 7, and 8. I mean, we could have a look at this. Polanco 16-0, 10 knockouts. Fought recently and won by unanimous decision. He could be. And Menge fought in January, has a fight coming up, but again, he deserves a shot. Like, these guys deserve far more than Pacquiao, who, as old times go, sure, he's a legend. He is, absolutely no doubt. He cannot walk back into this. And the whole fighter's safety goes out the window the minute a bit of money gets involved, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loads of people are comparing what Pacquiao's doing with George Foreman, but I could be wrong, so I'm going to check this before I say it. I'm fairly certain George Foreman didn't walk straight back into a world title fight.
I'm going to be honest with you, regardless, yeah, Pacquiao shouldn't be fighting for a WBC world title. If George Foreman walked straight into a world title fight, won it, he didn't work. Like, if he did do that, which I'm sure he didn't, he wouldn't warrant it. And B-Hop shouldn't have, but they did. But because they done it, because they won a world title, these decisions don't make it right. There's rankings for a reason. Yeah. So I don't understand. My thing is how he's still ranked, or he goes back in as ranking number 1, not being active for 4 or 5 years. So I do think that you've just got to do a favor for the WBC. I don't think the problem is with these boxing boards. It's not down to. I'm convinced that certain fighters will get put ahead of other fighters because of relationships in these boards. Yeah. Hopefully, no Diddy. Yeah, hopefully. But,
yeah.
You know,
for a bit of context, by the way, George Foreman. I was writing what I was thinking. I just don't want to. George Foreman left in 1977, came back in 87, and then fought for 7 years before he beat Michael Moorer. He did not walk straight back into a title shot. Foreman came back at 39. He lost to Holyfield. He lost again, and then he beat Michael Moorer for the world title. Like, that's not the same. It's the same age, but it's not the same in terms of experience. Pacquiao could get really hurt. And what I really is sad to see is that you've got a guy who Pacquiao clearly can't get away from that, like the hype of boxing, which we see with a lot of people. We see it with Kell Brook, we see it with a little bit with Amir Khan, but a lot of these guys just can't pull themselves out of it. And they need good people around them to say, no, you're too old. Doesn't matter how you feel in the gym. Pacquiao might feel the best he's ever felt, and I'm sure he'll tell us that. But that's not enough.
Listen,
I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And the people that are making this fight should be ashamed of themselves. Barrios, I understand. Barrios is going to get a career-high payday, and he's going to get Pacquiao as a win on his resume, realistically. Well, I wouldn't actually be surprised if Pacquiao beat Barrios.
What do we call the WBC round here? We be crooks.
We be crooks, yep.
That is it, man. And it's either that or Mauricio Sullivan really loves Manny Pacquiao on many levels.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know that.
Yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, that not much to say on that. It's shocking to say the least. If he wins a world title, I still think it's, as you said though, when looking at the fight, we've got a weakish WBC champion. Something could happen if he does lose the fight. The only thing that it could set it up for, which would be a big fight, but I think it'll be very one-sided, is Conor Benn v Pacquiao now.
Yeah, and I'd hate to see that because Conor Benn's brutal. Conor Benn will be faster, stronger, younger, more aggressive, everything. I don't know what would be sadder is if Pacquiao lost to Barrios or Pacquiao won and then had to fight. I mean, I imagine Jaron Ennis versus Manny Pacquiao. That could, we're having some serious technical issues today. I'm not sure. What's good?
We good?
Yeah, but I think the intro should start playing again.
It's gone. It's gone.
Is it gone? Okay, well, the point is, Pacquiao, imagine him versus Ennis. That would be potentially you're watching just a live murder. I'm not even trying to be dramatic. I think that could be terrible. Whoever is making the fight, if it's Mauricio, if anyone in the WBC, whoever's doing that, whoever's promoting it, broadcasting it, you're scumbags. You shouldn't be putting that on. That's not something we should watch. Yeah. But what we do have this weekend is Johnny Fisher versus David Allen 2, which I'm quite excited about. I like both of them.
Johnny Fisher. I was singing that in the office today.
Bosh. Copper Bosh.
Copper Bosh. Yeah, Mass Bosh. Yeah, Bosh. What a man.
El Bosh. G-Bosh.
What a man. Let me just say a quote the other day that I'm living here that John Fury put up the other day. Yeah, John Fury? Big John, sorry, not John Fury.
Big John.
Big John turned around and he said, how do you sleep at night knowing people hate me? He said, with the fan on and my balls out. That is quote of the week. That is quote of the week.
I love Big John. Man.
You love Big John?
He's funny. No. No. That's not a pause. Well, anyway. Anyway.
1-1.
Yeah, but one was you. Yours was way worse.
No, it can't be worse than Michael Buffer. That one even come out yet. You're lucky I had technical difficulties using my phone this week because that one's still our phone's back now, so that one will be coming out. Michael Buffer, let me know what you got.
Yeah. We've got a bit of a. It feels to me like a next gen card. I'm not going to lie to you. We've got a lot of younger fighters,
Yes.
kind of around that 10 fight mark.
Mhm.
Jimmy Sainz fighting for his first title, the Southern area. George Liddard, Kieran Conway's not really well. Kieran Conway's been around for a long time, but Shannon Bryan is that a comeback fight since she lost? Oh no, she won by knockout in Newport. Okay, I didn't know, but. We've got quite a lot, but really the only interesting fight look like is into really 50-50, we'll see what happens, is Johnny Fisher, David Allen. David Allen looks a lot fitter than he did for the first fight. And I think people are writing him off a little bit.
I said one thing. Here's the thing with David Allen, yeah? I respect what he's done. He's sparred and boxed quite a lot of great fighters, right? His thing's a mentality thing. That's always been his problem, and I mean that in the sense of the mental. He can get himself into the best shape, but it's mentally he's got to, he has to believe in himself. I think we're seeing the stronger David Allen over these two fights because the first fight's given him a lot of confidence going into this fight.
Yeah.
The key importance to Allen performing is a strong mental. Everything else, I think, he's got right. It's just his mental going into the ring. This for Fisher is uh, potentially a blip in the road. He can come back from it regardless. I don't think it's something that's going to define his career. He's younger, obviously fresher in terms of his career where he's at. But this is a fight that he needs to, see out and get rid of if he wants to move up quicker as well. Otherwise, I think it's not going to knock him down too much, but I think it will knock him down a little bit in terms of just where he's at. This is a big fight for him. It's a big test.
It feels like he needs to win for himself. I think you're talking about the mental aspect of David Allen, and you're right. Obviously, we've seen he quit on his stool against Fraser Clark. He had a lot of injuries, but still, a fighter's not quite in the right place if they have that thought process of quitting. And David Allen's pretty open about it. He has issues with getting fit and training. In the fight week for the first fight against Johnny Fisher, he thought he just didn't see a way he could win it. And then he got to the locker room on fight day and something changed. And he thought, I'm going to go and just do it. Johnny Fisher, for me, also has a bit of a mental thing of, I don't think he thinks he is above this level. And that's good because it means he would have trained harder than he's ever trained before because he needs to make sure people know he's better than David Allen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a must-win fight for both. Not to say Johnny Fisher couldn't lose and come back. He's young, of course he could. But if David Allen lost against Johnny Fisher, then I don't really think David Allen has many fights left. He's not got many fights left anyway, which is sad to say because I love David Allen. He's great for the sport. But where does he go if he loses? And if Johnny Fisher loses, then it's like, well, where do you go?
We say that, but then Dubois lost against Joyce, and now he's an IBF World Heavyweight Champion. So these guys are young, and and Fisher is still young as well. So I don't think that we can, especially with the way boxing how it should be. I don't think if you're at a certain point in your career, I think the defeat will be more damaging to David Allen than it will for Fisher. But
yeah.
I think Fisher, win or lose, it won't define where he goes. I think it's just how he bounces back from this. I mean, I know we're talking before the fight happens, but he's at a different stage of his career. He's always going to be put in these big fights because he sells more tickets than anyone at his level. I've been to one of
that's true.
Wembley Arena I went to watch. He was on the undercard, and I can't remember what card it was. It might have been, I want to say, was it when Katie Taylor fought the SSE Arena? No, it was somebody else. I'm sure it was that card. Katie Taylor when she fought the SSE Arena in Wembley. It might be her. I might be wrong, but it might be her. And Fisher turned up, fought on the card. He turned up with, I'd probably say, half of that at Wembley Arena was Fisher fans.
Yeah.
So, like, we know he does a lot of tickets. So, in terms of obviously getting big opportunities, he always will because he sells a lot of tickets. Something a lot of fighters might struggle to do at his level coming up. He's a Southern Area world champion at the moment. People have to remember that as well. There's steps. The next steps for him is going to be British, but British is hard at the moment. Look who the current holder is. So it's tough. And then around him, you've got a shark tank of other fighters coming through. Moses is at the similar level to where Fisher is now. So it's like
he is, but Moses has talent. But the thing with Johnny Fisher is, I don't think anyone knows how far he can go.
He's not.
If you turned around, if anyone turned around to me and said Johnny Fisher's going to be a world champion, I'd be like, I'm not sure about that. I don't think he's quite good enough. I'd love him to be. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be good for the sport. I think we need more, but there's only a certain amount of world champions, and I don't think he has the natural ability. Saying this week.
Yeah. I think we're saying this though, obviously where he's at currently, right? But the thing is, especially if he wins on Saturday, he's going to improve. So each fighter building confidence. I don't think maybe say how far can he go until we're talking when you're in more of those 50-50 fights like he is against Allen, which is a very much a 50-50 fight. I think in this current climate, this is quite a 50-50 fight. He gets past this, he goes on to fight, has a couple more fights, British, European. I think then we can kind of gauge, okay, where does Allen sit? But I think it's too early, even with him. He's not got, the one thing he does Fisher, is the sparring. Spars around the world, goes to camps in Australia, America, spars fighters. He's picking up a lot of experience. It's very important.
It's true.
I'd like him to. I want him to do well. Wasn't his best performance against Allen, I'll be honest. I did think that people calling it a robbery was like a bit dramatic. You'd say there's probably a round.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In between that fight, there was probably a round. Whether you give it to Allen or Fisher, it was a round. It wasn't 4 or 5 rounds. I think if you thought it was 4 or 5 rounds, I think you need to go get your head checked.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But as I said to you, I would have given a round, and to be fair, my round on the night would have lent towards David Allen, to be honest with you. But in terms of the judges who are there officially to score it, they could have given it either way. We
100%. I think Johnny Fisher will win this weekend. I think he'll look really sharp. He should look sharp. I think he'll look good.
Casual's prediction, because we're on a roll.
But Casual's well, it's my prediction. Are you Johnny Fisher as well? Are you
Casual's prediction?
Yeah, go on.
I think Fisher's going to win the rematch. As I said, you learn a lot though coming away from a fight like that. So you're going to improve.
We saw it with Conor Benn and Cedric Pynald early in his career. Conor Benn really arguably should have lost the first fight, came back in the second and looked great. So it's natural, especially for young fighters that are quite a big name. And Johnny Fisher's a bigger name than he is quality, that's not a bad thing when it means there's pressure and there's eyes on him. Far more eyes than there would be on any other fighter at his level. But either way, it'll be a good fight. It's a good event. We are live for the event. We will likely, just looking from the card, we will be live from around maybe Shannon Ryan onwards. So probably covering 4 or 5 fights. Obviously the main event. Kieran Conway definitely, and Jimmy Saenz definitely. So we are covering that live commentary. Did it last week, got great reception on the first and second. And then we're coming back later in the evening / early morning for Hiruta Marino. With Sergey Boryshuk making his return after his fight against Madrimov. So, not Madrimov? Who did Boryshuk fight? Thingy. Oh, my God. against Virgil Day. Yeah, sorry, making his return after he beat Ishmael Davis. So it's not a comeback fight, but it's a sort of the first fight back towards world title level. And then we have another show next week, boxing this week as per usual on the Thursday. We got clips coming out. We got all sorts. And again, we're going to keep saying it. It is going to happen. There's no date on it, but eventually that you will see football streams. You will see darts. Darts is the one that is going to happen sooner rather than later. You will see fucking golf, ice hockey, basketball. We have no idea, but absolutely any sport that we can. Maybe
ice hockey's hilarious because I ain't got a clue what's going on.
Ice hockey. No. Take their gloves off and they just go crazy. So
Aussie rules football.
Yeah, we got a lot coming. But for now, that is boxing this week. We'll see you on Saturday around 7 p.m. And go follow, like, subscribe. Obviously, follow the social media. That'd help a lot if you follow the Instagram. Thank you. Paolo, any closing message?
No closing message, man. Just make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Cool. Perfect.